Greetings to you all. I do welcome you to this broadcast. As you tune in here with me today, please indicate to me whether you're hearing me clearly, both on YouTube and on Facebook, and whether you're also seeing me clearly, whether you're hearing and you're seeing me clearly. I would greatly appreciate that. This is a day on which I would also bid the saints of Yahweh, Shalom. It is well. It is always well. I'm thankful to those of you who joined this broadcast, to those of you who would likely share the broadcast. And I'm also thankful to those of you who will take the time to be independent thinkers. You hear my grandbaby screaming in the background. That's good. Take the time to be independent thinkers. I'm speaking today to independent thinkers. I'm speaking today to those of you who have the ability to hear things, to see things, to comprehend the same, and then to assimilate, which is to take it in and analyze it. I cannot speak to those who are hell-bent for many reasons on seeking to eliminate from our understanding that which is quite clear. I'm not speaking to those of you who are sent as paid trolls to cause distractions. It's not going to work. We are speaking to independent thinkers. I call on those who I refer to as being in the social media army, the warriors. There's a war, and you're winning that war. I've told you that there's a time for peace according to scripture, according to the Holy Bible, according to the writing of the teacher of Ecclesiastes. There's a time for peace, and there's a time for war. The war that we're winning is the war on social media. There are no guns on social media. There's no tear gas the police can shoot you on social media. There's no way that they can control your hands on social media. And for as long as those platforms remain active and available, we shall win the war on social media. Let us share that which is credible. Let us ask the necessary questions that have to be asked. Let's have discussions in the privacy of our homes that would engender strength coming to us. Let us hold the elected, which are very few, and the selected officials accountable. We are in an information age, and the war that we fight must be that with information. The People's Progressive Party, I refer to them as the People's Pathetic Party, cannot in any way win a social media war. Frank Anthony, who is paid to be the Minister of Health, waited until there was a call of some sort for another pathologist, another forensic pathologist, to come to Guyana and to perform another post-mortem examination, a forensic examination of Adrianna Younge's body. Frank Anthony did not see the need to speak to us on the day when they would have found Adrianna Younge. He did not see the need to speak to us about the protocols, and I would that you listen to me very carefully, the protocols regarding someone being found in a pool, and being a suspicious matter. He did not speak to us about the law of Guyana, not his opinion, the law that should have obviously been in action from that very minute. But as soon as it was said that the family intends to bring another pathologist and they're seeking clearance from the Ghana Medical Council, Frank Anthony was out there, obviously, clearly saying to the family and to us as a nation that this should not be encouraged because they've returned Adriana's body to her family. And who knows, essentially, what can happen between the time they would have given the family her body, put it under their control, right back to the same funeral parlor, and when the pathologist has done the examination, seeking to suggest that somebody from the family or through the by the permission or some means, because if the body's under the control of the family, I would like to think that the body's kept in family's home. Back in the days, they used to have what are called ice boxes. I remember when Mr. Lawrence would have died. Mr. Lawrence in Kanji, I remember Daddy took us there to see his niece. They had Mr. Lawrence in an ice box in the bedroom, in the house. That's when the body is in the control of the family because the ice box was in Mr. Lawrence. Mr. Lawrence's body was in the ice box in his house. So anybody wants to do anything to that body had to go to the house. If Adriana's remains are at Ezekiel Funeral Home, then it's not under the control of the family. It's under the control of the Ezekiel Funeral Parlor's owners who had control of it in the first place. What you would have done, Frank Anthony, is you could have said, or should have done, was to say that the body was released to their family to do with it what they please, which would be to bury, cremate, whatever else it is. But it is not under the control of the family if it's at somebody else's mortuary or morgue. And being a scientist myself, one who is trained, my degree is in environmental sciences. I would have taught the sciences. I would have studied or been trained to teach sciences to people at secondary school level. I'm one who would have edited the national, or one of the writers for the national science curriculum, and also edited the Science in Daily Life Book 3, a national textbook used here in Guyana, South America. I would like to think, Frank Anthony, that you're being a medical doctor, should be happy to know that there's something called the need to investigate. So if there's another person, a fourth individual who come to say, well, I would like to see if there's something else that I can find in reference to Adrianna Younge situation, you should be the first to say, yes, wonderful, excellent. Let's get as many as we can. Let's bring some others from the US, from Russia, who can't really speak English, so nobody could tell me a paper and they understand what they've said. Bring some from Afghanistan, wherever it is. Bring them from wherever you can so we can get to the bottom of this. Instead, you sought immediately to discourage the family. And then there was a smear campaign that was, of course, enacted as quickly as possible to say that this controversial doctor is being sought. So before this person would have had a moment to touch Adrianna Younge's body, the PPP's engine of propaganda began. This man is controversial. Now, if any human being with sense knows that you want to direct a narrative, it tells me that you have got something to hide. So if the man came and said, "Listen, this girl didn't die by drowning. She was choked. She was drugged, possibly, or she was unconscious before she entered water since her lung. If you are choked, then obviously you're not breathing when you get into water. But if you are unconscious, I said this from the beginning. If Adriana would have been unconscious, drugged, or hit in the head or something, and she fell unconscious, and you put her in water, she will drown. She would not. She would drown, and that's forcible drowning, Irfaan. It would be considered forcible drowning because she didn't fall overboard and drown just like that. Someone rendered her unconscious, and she was breathing in water with her head being submerged. So she will die by drowning. I will get to the other part of it. There's a lot more to come in this broadcast. The Minister of Health did not present to us the protocols regarding how do you treat this situation. When Adrianna Younge, and I'm happy that Dr. Todd, who's trained in forensics regarding these matters said exactly what I told you all yesterday and before. From the moment you took her out of the water, the father was allowed to do it because no policeman chose to do so. On the site, a medical person is supposed to be there. There's supposed to be a forensic kit at the site from the CID or wherever you all are. At the site, nobody moving anywhere. At the site, on the scene, photographs supposed to be taken, swabs are supposed to be taken immediately. You can pull a screen around her as they would do, put a big white screen around her, nobody can see, and you go in there. Maybe the father can go as well. Have 2 or 3 witnesses from the family side, and you take swabs immediately. Frank didn't tell us that. Frank did not tell us anything of that nature. If there's cotton wool in a nostril, take it out immediately. It's kept. If you say there was froth, take it out, put it in a vial immediately, in a vial immediately, not next week, at the scene. Because in transporting the body and bumping out of the place, it could run out of her nose. You didn't do that either. And I don't know which guy needs adult, not child, which guy needs adult. Many of them stood around this child at the poolside and said, that is cotton wool. And you tell me that I don't know, or they don't know, what cotton wool looks like. Froth has bubbles in it. Cotton wool doesn't have bubbles in it. Or what guy needs to call froth. You're telling me that grown men and women do not know what cotton wool looks like? Really? So Frank Anthony did not present us with information. You're saying to me that a child disappeared at 1:30, even if you say 2 o'clock, even if you say 12 o'clock, when they didn't get there by 12 o'clock, but rewind the time a little further. And the next day, she's discovered at 9 something. And within that time, over this period of time, you could not say whether this individual had bruises on her skin. So how is it that men around looked and said this child's skin is bruised? Because her tummy was flawless. Her midsection was intact. This is where you start getting the evidence and put the pieces together from. Look at her tummy. Her entire body was in water. If her entire body would have been in water, then her tummy would not be protected. And where would you bloat if you drown? Your belly. That area will be swollen. Look at the texture of her skin at her tummy area, where her navel is. Perfect, flawless. Nothing is wrong with it. And from there, she would have been taken to a funeral home. And within 5 days, her body being kept in a mortuary, in a refrigerator, in a morgue, that body was in an advanced state of decomposition. Frank Anthony never spoke to that. You never said a word as the man who we pay to be the Minister of Health. You came out days later when the family said they want another pathologist. That's when you had a voice. And you never once spoke to the fact that it is impossible, not difficult, for a body to be stored in a freezer, in a mortuary that meets standards according to Guyana's law. It's impossible for it to decompose if it's taken there from day one and it's kept there until you remove it. It's impossible. It's not difficult. Again, with pain in my heart, I present with joy in my heart as well. My brother at the top, Harold, 24 days after he passed away, look at the texture of his skin. Look at the quality of his skin. He was kept in a mortuary in Merriman Funeral Home. Adriana's, look at her stomach. Look at her neck. Look at her neck area. Pay attention to her neck. Flawless. Look at my brother's face. Flawless. 24 days he was in the fridge for. In the freezer for 24 days. And you telling me, Frank Anthony, that you are a medical, you're paid to be. You're paid to be the minister of health. You serve us in that ministry. That's what it is. You are a servant to protect our interest. And you did not once in this, I'm going to play what you said. You did not once mention that you bring into serious question the mishandling of this child's body at a funeral home. You did not say that. And I present you with evidence. My brother was kept in the mortuary for 24 days and his skin was perfect. Adriana was kept in the mortuary for 5 days and she was in an advanced stage of decomposition. Why? How is it possible for her to drown? Look at her neck. Observe her neck. How do you drown? And the only thing that's affected would be your face and your hand. So her neck doesn't have skin in it. Chlorine that affected her hand, according to what they want to suggest, doesn't affect your neck. So chlorine only affects your hand and your face and parts of your feet. It doesn't affect your neck. Her neck is exposed. Her neck wasn't covered, just as her face was not covered. And this chlorine from the pool that you all want to suggest, not you, Frank, I'm speaking to those who are paid to lie on behalf of the PPP. This chlorine doesn't affect her neck in any way. So therefore, I would like to think that the chlorine, the chemical you said that shows that she drowned, and the doctors, you all said, because the doctors haven't said a word to me themselves. No pathologist who came and examined that girl's body spoke to the public. Not even one. No pathologist. None. Today is the 5th day of May, and no pathologist spoke to the media or to the country. Not even one. Y'all don't make me start screaming here because I am too angry. No pathologist. We had a helicopter that crashed. They said it crashed. It burned. 5 men lost their lives. That's what you got the Heroes Highway from. 2 men survived. And this is the first time in Guyana's, in any part of the world I'm aware of, where 2 men can survive a fiery helicopter crash. Oh my God. And you hear nothing. The PPP government again. 2 soldiers survived a helicopter coming down and burning up with all 5 on board. Generals were lost and all that. And the 2 men who survived up until today, the 5th of May, have said nothing. No press conference, no interview, nothing. You don't even know where they are right now. This is the same people you're dealing with. We have 5 men, armed military, some retired, were flying in a Sukibo, and that's it, gone. And the helicopter, the report has not been published to the media. I have a very close friend who is an aviation engineer. He works on Boeing jets and stuff like that. And he said to me that the systems on board that helicopter, there are too many warning systems and repeater systems involved. They call them redundant systems. If this one fails, another one kicks another one, for that thing to go down just like that. But that's not a story. But you haven't heard anything from those who are on board. Come back to the PPP's Minister of Health. The PPP's Minister of Health has not once said that there should have been a forensic kit on the scene. They should have had a sheet or some screen put around the child's body at the site, or a tent over her body, keep her from the sun, and you start working immediately. Then when you get through with the preliminary samples, then you move somewhere else. Let me say it to you again. When you gather the preliminary samples, you put a tent, put a screen, bring somebody to examine, even swab her vaginal area. Sorry for being this way, but I have to say it. You swab, you check her anal area. You check immediately because this is a girl child. The suspicion of her being absent overnight has been intensified in reference to what happened to her, I should say. We found her. The pool was searched. Critics said nobody was in the pool. Critics said the family searched. A diving instructor was there on the scene according to the reports. He went and he searched. So you have someone who could swim to teach people to swim, how to swim. He was there. He searched, found nothing. They told the people, the reports I'm getting again, to drain the pool. No, it couldn't be drained because the pool was needed. That's why the pool was not drained. Because if it happened before, it's likely that this pool is the place whereby you have to know how to deal with the evidence. And that's the place because it happened before, according to reports. Same pool, same results. Frank Anthony did not say that. Frank Anthony did not speak to what happened when the child was taken to Lenora Hospital. She got to Lenora Hospital, and what happened? And what happened, Frank Anthony? They missed the first protocols at the pool. Now you got to Lenora Hospital. Did they take swabs at Lenora Hospital? Did they do preliminary sample taking or swabs at Lenora Hospital? You didn't say that either. You didn't say that. You simply said the doctor looked and said, well, okay, she's confirmed dead. That's it. She was missing all night. They couldn't find her in the pool. And you didn't even say to us that there were preliminary swabs or samples taken and investigations done at Lenora. So she moved from Lenora and she headed straight to Ezekiel Funeral Home, not to Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, not to Balwant Singh, not to any advanced environment. Now say, okay, Lenora is low grade. We'll take her to the nation's top hospital, which should be Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, and we're going to examine this body. No, you head from Lenora straight to Ezekiel. Straight to Ezekiel Funeral Home, and that's it. You did not say to us that according to scientific principles, the freezer, the fridge at Ezekiel has to be examined. You took a record of the temperature. That's the police part now. What's the temperature of the refrigerator? What's the temperature? You examined, you called, because you wouldn't think that far, you call an electrician in and a refrigeration AC refrigeration people, come and check here. Is this refrigerator compressor working properly? Is the morgue functioning properly? Is it? Yes, sign your name. That you check this. When will the pathologists come in the country? 3 days from now, every day on the hour or every 2 hours, you come and check here. And you give us a report. You give us video evidence of what happened. You didn't do that. You did not do that. Nobody from CID did that. Okay, well, you missed that part. So let me play for the world to hear what you said, Frank Anthony. But before I play what you said, I will play what Dr. Caleb said. What Caleb said. And before I play what Caleb said, let me just show the whole world. The whole world can see that this pool is an Olympic diving pool. We do platform and springboard and so on diving. This pool is 16 feet deep at minimum. 16 feet. And I asked the world to tell me, can you see black lines at the bottom of the pool, the 16 feet deep? Those lines are narrower than Adriana's body. Can you see? And that pool is covered by a dome. It's not open to the sun like the pool at Day's Hotel. Oh, can you see this here? This Day Hotel's pool at night. Can you see the pool? Can you see anything in the pool? That's at night. I didn't choose a daytime photograph because she's found in the day. So can you tell me that at night you could see this, but in the day you cannot see? And to those who want to lie, to suggest that the pool was cloudy, no swimming pool can be cloudy unless it is disturbed. You have to have a lot of mud and muck inside, and you have to disturb the water. If nobody's swimming for the entire night, nobody was swimming, then the dust will settle in the pool. And if the pump is working, the aeration pump to push bubbles in the pool, it doesn't cause the pool to become cloudy. You have bubbles, not cloud. I would like to suggest, and I would like to say this unequivocally, anyone from this day forward, and I've taken note from before, who want to suggest to me that Adrianna Younge was in the pool all along and nobody saw, I will consider you to be a murderer. And I treat you differently. Let me say it to you again. Anyone who wants to suggest that in this pool where you can see at night how clear it is, anyone who wants to suggest that that girl was in that pool all along, I will consider you to be a murderer. And I shall treat with you differently from this day forward. I don't care who you are. For you to seek to hide the truth to protect the People's Progressive Party, you are a dangerous person. You are a threat to me and to my entire family. You are a criminal and you're a murderer. There's one I can understand if you want to protect the party in reference to policies and if the roads were built and roads are built nice. I can understand that. You can argue because you defend the PPP, you want the PPP to win, so you're going to argue in reference to bantering regarding politics. But if you want to come to tell me that a child who, a diving instructor, not you who can't swim, a diving instructor went into that pool to check. Family members, 20 people or 15 people, whoever it is, searched that pool, that little pool, this small pool here. Let me put it back for you. Look at how small this pool is. It doesn't take you 5, 2, 3, 1 minute to walk around this entire pool. It's a small pool. Or to even dive and swim and check in it. You want to say that they checked that and they didn't find her, but she was there all along? If you want to say to me that this girl, this young lady, when she was found, when they found her, and you say, well, she drowned, and because chlorine was in the pool, her hand looks like that, well, what happened to her tummy? 24 days after my brother was taken out of the fridge at the mortuary, look at how he looked. Within a few days, look at how she was out of the pool, and the only thing the chlorine affected was her face and her forearms, nowhere else. If you want to suggest to me, that Adriana was in that pool all along, or because you want to protect the People's Progressive Party's bid to win the next election, which they cannot, you are a murderer. You are a murderer. I will not classify you as anything else. And I treat with murderers, especially murders of children, I treat with you differently. When it comes to children, especially girl children, I treat with you differently. Because you're telling me that you're prepared to have our girl children in this country murdered and the murderers be protected to protect a political party. And once you go down that path, we become different in reference to how we associate. Because you're a different creature to me right now. All of you. Now I should play what Caleb said. Let's hear from Dr. Caleb. And some things you've missed, I don't.
Dr. Paul, myself, attorney at law Darren Wade, Sir Brian, Amicia, Amika, the grandmother, the whole family. We had a meeting with the three forensic pathologists that the government provided for the family. Now, the moment I walked into that meeting, like I continue to share my views that before even going to the meeting, I knew, like many others, that this young lady was drowned, right? Somebody drowned her, or cause of death was drowning. We knew this. The moment the pathologists, they were talking.
Did you hear that? Did y'all get that? Dr. Caleb, who was claimed to be the family doctor, he was in there. Listen to me carefully. He said that before they went in to start the autopsy, they knew that she drowned. How? How do you know that somebody drowned without examining the organ of the body that gives you the information, the feedback about the cause of death? How do you, before you go in, three of you, the one from Maryland, the one from Mount Sinai, where the PPP has got arrangement to have some lab built as well, right? That one, the one from Barbados. How do you know that somebody drowned? If you are a forensic pathologist, how do you know before checking somebody's lungs that they died by drowning? How do you do that? Now, if you say to me that somebody saw the child fall into the pool, they were trying to rescue the girl, they couldn't rescue the girl, and she kept fighting, and she drowned. Common sense to say, okay, then, well, yeah, it's obviously died by drowning, but we have to confirm this. I was swimming at Lake Mainstay one time. Lake Mainstay water is brown. I dove off of a platform, if you go there, you know what I'm talking about. I didn't know there was a log right there. I to this day, I cannot get over it. When I dove into the water by my head first, when I turned on and I felt right where I landed, a log was out under the water, hiding in the water. I got cold. I went to start this platform and I couldn't catch myself. We were there with my environmental sciences class of 1995. Now, if I had hit my head on that log and broke my neck, I would have sunk to the bottom of the water. When would have found me? Would you just look and say he died by drowning? We know he died by drowning, or would you not examine all possibilities first? Now, if that's why you first of all perform the X-ray. If my neck got broken, then you can see, well, his neck fractured, and I still didn't die by drowning unless you go into my lungs. How do you, Dr. Caleb, before even going to see the lungs of the child, how do you say this he drowned? How can you tell that? How? You see, this is where if Irfaan Ali, Barra Jagdeo, Clifton Hicken, and all y'all would have caused the media to sit before you with some maybe private doctors to ask you questions like this, you'd never have this problem. You'd never have this problem. You would have never had this problem. You said that we knew that she died by drowning. Who knew that? Who knew it? The PPP want to distract as much as possible to talk about scrapes and who in defending scrapes and looting and who terrorists. We are going to focus on Adriana and also focus on justice for those who are being called terrorists, because they're not Osama bin Laden. So I'm saying this to interject at this point, to infuse that in this argument. The focus will be who is behind this Adriana's murder. That's the focus. We need to know that. We need to know who's behind it. We need to know why. A doctor can tell you before examining that child's lung that she died by drowning. How do you have such information? Because Adriana was not seen flailing in the pool. Based on her father and mother's account, she could swim, even if she could not swim. If she's drowning, she was around people. When the pool was searched, she was not there. If she was not in the pool when it was searched on multiple occasions, including when Critic got there. Critic said the water was cloudy. When did it become cloudy, Guyanese Critic? Michael Rodriguez, when did this water suddenly become cloudy? When?
Management. I said, we're going now with the cameras. There's a female washroom here. There's a bar here. The management explained to me that when you come and if you're going to use the pool And as you can see, you see the pool here clear. Like when the family said they went in the pool and check, everybody went in the pool and check. Normally, you ain't got to check if there's a body in this pool. You could see it because the pool is clear, right? So, obviously the young lady, the 11-year-old who has gone missing from this place is not in this pool, right? So I walking around, I look in, I talk to management before I talk to the mother and the father to make sure I have an inclusive story. Everybody knows what's going on, why it's going on, and so on, right? So you got the pool here.
The same stairwell, the same ladder to get out of the pool, critic was pointing at it. That's where she was found 2 feet away from that ladder. Do you see anybody? Do you see anybody in the pool? And critic said that it is obvious that nobody's here. It is clear that nobody's in this water because the water is undisturbed. Did that pool look cloudy to y'all? So when did this pool become cloudy? Because when critics showed the camera footage and critic took the videos, Michael Rodriguez, the pool wasn't cloudy. So when did this pool become cloudy? When a father dove into the water and began to kick because he has to fight to get out of the water. That's when it became cloudy, and it had bubbles, not cloudiness. When he got out of the pool, it became calm again. So when did this cloudiness occur? You mean to tell me that in order for the PPP to win an election, you are prepared to sit before a camera and lie? Listen again.
I said, we're going out with the cameras. There's a female washroom here. There's a bar here. The management explained to me that when you come and if you're going to use the pool, and as you can see, you see the pool here clear. Like when the family said they went in the pool and check, everybody went in the pool and check. Normally, you ain't got to check if there's a body in this pool. You could see it because the pool is clear, right? So, obviously the young lady, the 11-year-old who has gone missing from this place is not in this pool, right? So I walking around, I look in, I talk to management before I talk to the mother and the father to make sure I have an inclusive story. Everybody knows what's going on, why it's going on, and so on, right? So you got the pool here.
Did anybody hear Michael Rodriguez say that there's no need to even check the pool because it's clear? Did you hear him say that twice? Which one of the PPPs, People's Pathetic Parties, murderers, that's what you are, can tell me and all of us, type here please, type a comment here, that Michael Rodriguez, your boy, didn't say that the pool is clear and that there is no need to go in the water to check for anybody? Did you hear him say that? Did you hear Michael Rodriguez say that the pool is clear? There's no need to go and check anywhere because it's clear. What am I saying? What must I go in the water for if I could see? Did you hear him say that? Okay. We're keeping this war on social media. That's what we're keeping the war. We're keeping the war on social media. Share the video. Share it, please. I don't normally ask you to do this, but do it. Share it. Today is the day of reckoning for y'all. Because today, I came here today, right here like this, because this was the day when the PP and others were encouraging Adriana's family to put her in a tomb, put her in the ground, just get rid of her. With the sun out there, she'll begin to rot even faster. Get rid of it as quickly as possible. Bury her, let her rest in peace. Rest in what? Rest in peace how? This child, and I want the father, Sabrina, if you listen to me, or you'll hear me, let the father hear me say this. Get a clip, please. Somebody screen record this part, and let Sabrina know what I'm saying to you. Your daughter died in silence because nobody heard her screaming, and I don't care, no, I'm not here to talk about what somebody said they heard and say they heard. If you heard anything, come to the police and talk now, or come to us on public. You don't trust the police, come on public and talk. Come to the public and talk. Screen grab this part. So Brian Young, your child died in silence. She must not be buried in the same. I speak to you as a man of Yahweh, and you by now know that I don't play when it comes to truth. Your child died in silence. She must not be buried in silence. Don't buy into this game, but let the child rest in peace and just go along. Who wants her to go in the ground so quickly? She died in silence. Let the evidence be loud. Somebody type that. She died in silence. Let the evidence be loud. There must be no more silence regarding Adriana. She died in silence. Let the evidence be loud. They murdered her and they silenced her voice because she would not go down without trying to save her life unless they drugged her. So this is not going to be no silent thing here. You just get to the front, get no. Comfort the mother. Give her all the comfort she needs. Take on a holiday summer, but keep that child around because she died in a manner that is unjust, and she must not be buried in a manner that is unjust. And all your preachers who say quiet, don't think I'm done with you. See, honest, I started means I'm very angry. Don't believe that I'm done with you all who quiet you now. Do not believe that I'm done with you. Today, this child was supposed to be buried. Suddenly, we have a U.S. ambassador in Guyana. We have a British High Commissioner in Guyana. We have a European Union Commissioner in Guyana. We have a Canadian High Commissioner. When hell was breaking loose, police were shooting us on the street. When the girl's father was pleading, please let me go in there to find my child, there was no U.S. ambassador. There was no UK High Commissioner. There was no Canadian High Commissioner. Neither was there one for the European Union. But today, for the funeral, you call on there should be no looting, there should be no rioting, there should be peace, but there should not be an investigation. Yes, there should be one, but of course, okay, fine. Well, you let the investigation take the normal course. You bring the FBI. Tell Hicken, you better bring her a sanction. Let me help you theory it. Madam U.S. Ambassador, I don't want no visa from you. So let me help you to do your work. You and the British High Commissioner and all y'all tell Hicken, if you don't bring the FBI here, I will sanction you. I'll sanction your dog. I'll sanction the cockroach in your house, centipede in your yard. Every single thing concerning you, I will sanction the hell out of you if you don't bring the FBI here to deal with this matter. And the CIA. And we're going to have a joint team. FBI, Scotland Yard, Royal Cannon Mountain Police. We can bring them from everywhere to deal with you. You show me that you mean business in this country. No, but at the funeral day, you want Guyana to be calm because it protects Exxon's interests if there's no disturbance. Then the PPPs, sick minds came to say, look at how y'all are taking this thing and make it political. It is political because the arms of state who are supposed to act in the interest of justice have sought to cover murder. It has been politicized. It has been politicized. It has to be politicized. Which is why I expect Aubrey Norton and David Granger, who's the leader of the list for the PNC. Don't tell me that you're out of politics. You are the leader, David Granger, of the list of who's in parliament. You lead. You determine who sits in the House of Assembly. You should be on the road with your wife, Sandra. All y'all. With 200,000+ guys who voted for y'all. You should be out there demanding that Hicken goes home. Hicken? I can't believe. You mean to tell me? You mean to tell me this fellow who was so eager, or Ali was so eager to make commissioner? You cannot do the most basic. Oh, but today, when there shouldn't have been the funeral, your father would have been a close case. No, Yahweh reigns. Don't play with him. When an apostle of Yahweh becomes involved in a situation, don't play with the outcome. I told you, ask Granger, ask David Granger. When an apostle of Yeshua, not Jesus, when an apostle of Yeshua HaMashiach gets involved in anything, don't play with the outcome of it. Because heaven, Yahweh himself gets involved. You all think this is a game. This is no joke here. So, Madam, yes, Ambassador, I can help you. You let the State Department start sanctioning these creatures left, right, and center. Let's see if you're interested in justice for real. Let us see how interested you are in the outcome of this matter. Because the poor and needy in this country do not have justice working in their favor. So it takes us, the people, to stand on their behalf and ensure that there's justice. You heard the doctor say clearly that before they went in, they knew that the girl drowned. How? Before you opened her chest cavity, her thoracic cavity, you knew that she drowned. Before you checked one lung, you knew that she drowned. Before you observed whether the lung would have been enlarged because water now filled it and not air, you knew that she drowned. How? That's what tell me. How did you have a meeting with a family and you told Adriana's father, as you said, and Sir Brian and some aunt and somebody else, you told them in the room, listen, we know she drowned. So you tell me that Sir Brian accepted in a room before he got into the postmortem area that his daughter drowned? When they didn't see her in the pool? When nobody saw her in this pool? When the dive instructor checked the pool, or even didn't check? When critic, forget anybody else, when critic showed you on video that the pool is obviously clear, quote unquote, and that there is no need to search the pool because the pool is clear. Yet you have some retarded idiots who would say, I need to see a video of those who search in the pool. Your mother made a gross mistake because her leg opened to put you out. If you speak in that manner, you are deserving of a death penalty. To suggest that it is okay for someone to tell you who's at the scene on the night where families are going crazy, and the person says, listen, we rule out this whole thing. The girl is not in here, so don't waste your time. Don't get your clothes wet. Don't get your clothing wet. Do not waste your time. It makes no sense to go into a pool where you can see the whole pool clearly. And you still come to tell me you need a video of somebody searching the pool. What you need a video of is a case where your mother decided to open her leg for you to come to the birthing canal. She should sue the doctor for keeping you alive. There should be a case filed now, a lawsuit filed against that hospital who allowed your mother to bring you into this world. That was medical malpractice. This was not a PNC boy who went by the pool to check. This is your boy critic, Barrett's interviewer. This is a known PPP acolyte and crony. This was Nigel used by the pool. For me, I've seen this on Norton, on one of Norton boys. This is critic who made certain statements that were very clear. The water is clear. There is no need to search anywhere because you could see all the way to the bottom. And you still asking for videos of people searching the pool. Frank Anthony spoke. Here are his words. And these words come after this.
Today, as I said, was an important day in evaluating the circumstances and the death of Adriana. And I just want to briefly share with you what was shared with the police representative and shared with me. The forensic pathologists, as you know, as Frank said, were brief, and they started the work sometime around 1:20 p.m. That's when they, upon completing the procedure, the forensic pathologists rule out signs of physical and sexual trauma on Ms. Younge's body. After careful deliberation, the team concluded that Ms. Younge died as a result of drowning. Ms. Younge's relatives were briefed following the examination and informed of the medical cause of death. Due to the state of the decomposition of Ms. Younge's body, the pathologists were unable to provide an exact time of death. The relatives were also informed that the pathologists ruled out theories of forcible drowning or any other means of killing, followed by disposal of the body in water. So that was what.
So that's what Irfaan said. This is these are the words, or those were the words of a man who was paid to be president. Irfaan sat there and said that pathologists ruled out forcible drowning. How do you rule out forcible drowning if you do not rule in where the water in our lungs came from? That's the first step you have to do. The pathologist never said that the water came from anywhere because Caleb said that he asked them, can you provide me with information as to where the water in our lung came from? They said, no. How can Irfaan say that it was not forcible drowning? If they say they cannot tell where the water came from, how do you rule out forcible drowning? Irfaan, forcible drowning, or what is called homicidal drowning, simply means that I did not get into water of wherever it was and drown without any human interference or interaction. That's all it means. It doesn't mean I have to squeeze my neck and put me underwater with a big chain to my neck. So if you hit me in my head and I fall overboard, that's forcible drowning. If you put your foot on my back and I drown, that's forcible drowning. If you put something in my nose and render me unconscious, you knock me because you drug me and put me in water and I drown, that's forcible drowning. How can a pathologist look at this girl's body and you said that they told you they've ruled out forcible drowning? If you take a hose and pour water down my nostril or syringe or tube and you pump water into my lungs and I die, that is forcible drowning. How can you suggest that this was not? Let's dive deeper into the situation. So Ali said they also ruled, pathologists now who are in the room at Georgetown Hospital ruled out that Adriana was put in a pool at Tushin on the east bank of Essequibo. I need to repeat that. Pathologists who are at Georgetown Hospital performing an autopsy, they were there doing the postmortem, and from Georgetown Hospital in a room with a child on a gurney, they could determine that she wasn't put in the pool, according to Irfaan. This is what y'all are voting for, and this is who you say, listen, this man could lead Guyana. This fellow who can't even lie with sense could lead Guyana. Who could tell you that a pathologist at Georgetown Hospital could tell him that a child was not put in the pool at Tushin in East Bank of Essequibo? They ruled that out. Up until today, there has been no word spoken by the doctor who came from Barbados, by the doctor who came from Mount Sinai, or the one who came from Collins from Maryland. None of them said a word. They haven't even done a Facebook Live or Instagram Live or TikTok Live to say, I was in Guyana and this is what I saw. Not a man said a word. Why? Why, Irfaan? When have you ever known that they could put their medical licenses, and I would like to suggest, Madam U.S. Ambassador, again, I'm coming to you. If you're so interested in Adriana Younge, call Mount Sinai and say there's a man who came here to perform an autopsy on this girl and he hasn't said a word up until today. Get him to come and talk on television now. And you want me, Irfaan, to turn my attention and say, no, this has become political, and you all take away from Adriana, and there were scrapes on the road, and people burned tires on the road, and they were looting refrigerator. They took a mattress, and they took a fan. Some of them took some water from a shop and some drink, and so we must focus on these people here, and we mustn't focus on your lying. No. I'm focusing on you. I'm focusing on Adriana. I'm focusing on the fact that there were 3, you said, doctors, and Caleb. And not one of them sat before the press to be questioned. Why, Irfaan? Why they couldn't answer one simple question? Now let's hear what Frank Anthony had to say after Irfaan had said that they ruled out all of these things. Listen to Frank Anthony. Let's go through this one by one.
Pronounced dead before arrival. That body was taken to the Lenora Cottage Hospital, and at the Lenora Cottage Hospital, she was formally pronounced dead before arrival. The doctors there were then able to examine the body, and then the police took custody of the body, and the body was taken to the funeral home at Ezekiel Funeral Home, where the body remained, first of all, at Lenora Cottage Hospital. Once the police took custody, the body was placed in a body bag that was sealed by the police. It was then taken to the funeral home, where it remained until an autopsy was done.
First one. The body was there. You heard me say. At Lenora Hospital, they examined the body. He never said they collected samples from the same. He never said that they did swabs. They took swabs. They anything. He said nothing about evidence being collected from the body at Lenora. He said nothing about a doctor making reports, and the report is being made public about the situation. When the country was in turmoil, young men are in jail. Young men have been refused bail. They called terrorists, as if they belong to was ISIS or somewhere. They've been labeled as terrorists. And to be called a terrorist, you have to have a political group or cause. I didn't know Adriana Younge was something for you to fight for PNC for. Or a religious cause. But you're branding them as terrorists. When Frank did not say to us that there is a report at Lenora, a preliminary report, or the first doctor to encounter her, he did a report from his examinations, and he took swabs, and they took this, and they have these things, and turned it over to the police. He didn't say that. Next video.
To do the autopsy. And in doing the autopsy, they went very sequentially, one step at a time, and in different parts of the body. And when they did the autopsy, they also took samples of fluids from the stomach, from the lung, from the blood, and they have all these samples along with samples of various organs in the body. From these findings, those samples were taken and given to the police, and the police then took that into custody or into their as part of their evidence. In addition to doing all of that, at the end of the autopsy, the 3 pathologists then got together, they had a discussion, and they made certain conclusions. Among the conclusions, they concluded that Ms. Young died by drowning. They then had another meeting, a second meeting, with the family, and during that meeting, again, there was the presence of the lawyer, Mr. Darren Wade. There was also the presence of the mother and aunt. Apparently there were two aunts, two nurses, and also the grandmother. And they were allowed to ask any questions that they had of the findings. They were explained what the findings were, and then they were asked, they asked questions.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Frank Anthony said that they went through step by step. You heard for yourself. I'm not saying we didn't say. They went through meticulously, step by step, one organ at a time. They collected samples. And who did they give samples to? The police. Now wait a minute. Hold on a minute, Mr. Frank. The police lied to us, which is what caused the Tyson burn in the first place. The police lied that the girl was seen going in some ram somewhere. The police lied. But Guyana Daily News gave us a car number for Orlando. They lied and put that man's life in danger. Mandel. They lied to tell the mother, listen, we have video footage here, you can go home and sleep. All of that. They stood before a gate and the door and prevented the family from going to search everywhere they wanted to search, the people. And the same police you decide, in the midst of all of this, you give them the samples and say, look, you have the samples. This is in your care. And you're now responsible for the samples, the last line of evidence. If you put this girl in the ground and bury her, the last thing you have remaining on the surface of this earth would be those samples. And you put it in the hand of the police, with Hicken still being there. With Hicken still being there, Robeson Band still there, you tell the police, you're responsible for this, you hold on to this, this is all yours. And you're talking about independent investigation. How can there be an independent investigation? Tell me, please. Further, Frank Anthony said that after they examined the girl, they came to the conclusion that she died by drowning. But what did Caleb tell y'all? That we all agreed, we all knew before we go in this room that she died by drowning. Now let's hold on here. Let's wait a second here. Anthony said that they examined the body carefully, and then they said that she died by drowning. Caleb said that before we even got into the room, we all agreed that she died by drowning. Oh, the tangled web we weave. Oh, the tangled web we weave. Because Anthony said that they had to examine first. Then they came to the conclusion. Caleb said there was no need to examine. We could look at her and tell her she died by drowning. We all knew she drowned. The family would have been told that she drowned. And that's it. Where, Frank Anthony, you came to sit when the family said they wanted this other pathologist to come according to what Darren Wade would have said. And that's when you came went to the studio to do what you did. That's when you went there. What somebody's asking me here? Bella said, sir, if you're running for president, I say this loudly, you have my vote, sir. Bella, yes, and I will say it all again. The People's Movement, the group that I lead, we are involved in this election. We are part of the election. We would be contesting, as you want to call it, for the sake of a better word, in these elections. But I'm not here because of that. What I'm here to tell you, though, is if I'm ever elected to lead this country, all of these names you see here, you all write them, please. Store them for me. I mean this is all my heart, you know. With all these different murders across this country that PPP involved in covering up, and if whoever it is, write it for me, please. And if I have any authority in this country after the elections are over, I promise you, the worst that could happen to Bar Jagdeo is for me to be president of Guyana. And he knows it. And he knows it. I promise you that they know. Because my rules are simple. You want to invent laws and do things to Guyanese people? Well, I can invent laws and do things to you. No, it's simple for me. Because I don't want the police to deal with y'all. So since you want to play around with people's lives and a little girl, that's when you see the animal in me. Because this little girl here, she ain't going down like that. You could bury her 50 times if you want. I don't forget. You better pray that I die before. Because if I have one chance to deal with you, I'm telling you, you would never do this again in the history of this country. There'll be maybe another 200 years before it happens. But your generations will not try it. Jail? No, I don't have time to waste food on these people. Jail for what? Jail? No. It will cost us money to keep them in prison. Jail? Keep the names for me, please. I beg of you. The mothers who are crying today, who are wailing from their womb, from their belly for justice, the fathers who are weeping from their hearts because the police took advantage of a situation and caused a girl to die in the process, then try to cover it up. Maybe they knew she was there before, I don't know. Whatever it is, keep their names on record for me, please. The policemen involved, keep their names on record for me, please. The doctors who couldn't talk, keep their names on record for me, please. And any group, if you see the coalesce and we work together, any group I go with, and they tell me they don't intend to do it with y'all, I'm not going to work with them. They don't intend to do with these politicians and these policemen, I am not going to work with you. Because high on the agenda of this country is what you'll do to Guyanese people. And it's not going down like that. And it's not going to go down like that. We are going to have the people's court. The people will try you all because they've tried you already. And the people would have found you to be guilty because you're guilty indeed. So let's proceed. Frank Anthony could not speak before about all that happened. Frank Anthony has not sat in that studio, did not sit in that studio to read for us a medical report from the pathologist. Even a preliminary report, he did not read it. He gave a report of what happened in reference to him, what is called a chronological sequence of events. He didn't give an official report. He did not even read what the notes they took in the room. He didn't do it. Let's go further.
Autopsy was over and these explanations were given. The body of Ms. Young was handed over to the family. And the samples that were taken, and having been in those samples were taken by the police and stored properly, and arrangements were made by the police with Mount Sinai to do the analysis of these samples. And there were 3 big sets of examinations that would be done by Mount Sinai and the National Medical Services Laboratories, which is a reference laboratory, forensic reference laboratory in the United States. So Mount Sinai would be doing the histopathology examination by their board-certified pathologists, and they would also be doing the molecular and DNA analysis. The comprehensive toxicological studies would be done by the National Medical Laboratory Services. These samples have since been sent to both institutions, and throughout the process, they have been under the police's custody, because from the time the police collected the samples, they store them, and then they move them across to the United States. A policeman took them physically to the United States and to Mount Sinai and to the the National Medical Services Laboratory.
One more.
Evidence. In addition to doing all of that, at the end of the autopsy, the three pathologists then got together, they had a discussion, and they made certain conclusions. Among the conclusions, they concluded that Ms. Younge died by drowning. They then had another meeting, a second meeting, with the family, and during that meeting, again, there was the presence of the lawyer, Mr. Darren Wade. There was also the presence of the mother and aunt. Apparently there were two aunts, two nurses, and also the grandmother. And they were allowed to ask any questions that they had of the findings. They were explained what the findings were, and then they were asked, they asked questions.
After all of this, Frank Anthony, paid to be Minister of Health, did not say, one, that the report is on my desk or at the police, or here I have it, and I'm going to read what the doctors have said. Frank Anthony did not say that he's going to arrange for there to be a virtual meeting. So they were afraid for their lives in Guyana. Well, they're not in Guyana anymore. So those who are overseas, you're going to have them on Zoom or some virtual platform, and you're going to have a news conference, a press conference with them being where they are in the world. Nobody could touch them. They were over there. He didn't say that they're going to have a press conference for the media to ask them questions even while they're overseas. He didn't say that either. Frank Anthony did not say that he is entirely convinced, or anyway, at any point did he mention that Adriana was not put in the pool or was put in the pool. Irfaan Ali, though, said that the pathologist told all of them, including Frank Anthony, and others, that the girl was not put in the pool. Now, after you've heard all that Frank Anthony say, how do the PPP's trolls and paid murderers explain this?
Today, as I said, was an important day in evaluating the circumstances and the death of Adriana. And I just want to briefly share with you what was shared with the police representative and shared with me. The forensic pathologists, as you know, as Frank said, were brief, and they started the work sometime around 1:20 p.m. That's when upon completing the procedure, the forensic pathologists ruled out signs of physical and sexual trauma on Ms. Younge's body. After careful deliberation, the team concluded that Ms. Younge died as a result of drowning. Ms. Younge's relatives were briefed following the examination and informed of the medical cause of death. Due to the state of the decomposition of Ms. Younge's body, the pathologists were unable to provide an exact time of death. The relatives were also informed that the pathologists ruled out theories of forcible drowning or any other means of killing, followed by disposal of the body in water. So that was what.
And Irfaan had to keep clearing his throat, for the throat gets dry. The throat becomes dry when someone is under immense psychological pressure to not tell the truth. That's a telltale sign. It is.
Was over, and these explanations were given. The body of Ms. Younge was handed over to the family. And the samples that were taken, and having been in those samples were taken by the police and stored properly, and arrangements were made by the police.
I play that latter part for you here again. The samples were given to the police. The samples are under the control of the police. The samples were taken to New York City by the police. The policeman is responsible in New York for moving the samples. This is in a whole new country now, without there being any independent individual or a family member or two who are accompanying him to prove that what he's doing is so. And we must believe them. This is a generation who will deal with you all differently. I say again that today should have been Adriana's funeral. And there are many in the People's Progressive Party who are hoping and praying for Adriana to be buried as quickly as possible. We need to know why. What is the rush? Further, I say to you that if Irfaan, who's called the head of state, could lie, and when the police were dishonest, there would have been so much uproar in this country because of Adriana's situation that young men are now in jail being called terrorists. I would like to suggest that the state of Guyana, the administration or the administrators of the state of this country, should make it known in a joint statement, show your faces, that because young men are now in jail facing, according to the Terrorist Act, that Cyberbullying Act, and you add terrorism to it, facing life in prison, facing 15 years in jail to death. Listen to me, and listen to me carefully. The state should be in control of Adriana's body to prove beyond the shadow of any doubt that what we saw is not what we saw, and you cannot do that. Young men took to the street and put their safety, their life, their families, future job opportunities, so many things on the line. You know, call them terrorists, all because they wanted justice for this girl. It cannot just be where you bury her and these men remain in jail because they call terrorists. It's not going to happen like that. The responsibility, the young men in Guyana, not Africans alone, young men in this country who don't know any other way to function when they get enraged, got mad because they saw what was at play. They saw that if a head of state could tell me, after looking at the whole pool, where critics said, it's obvious, nobody's in here, where people searched, people dove into the pool, people did all that, nobody was there. And then next morning, she's dropped into the water. And the head of state says that they ruled out sexual assault, they ruled out forcible drowning, they ruled out her being put into that body of water. The young men got enraged. It's called cause and effect. And they burned our roads, their roads. It's called public infrastructure. And in a socialist economy, the reason why you shouldn't be burning public infrastructure, because socialism is all of us own the country. All of us own the resources. All of us own the economy. So you shouldn't burn your own things. That's essentially why socialism is against that kind of behavior. They were enraged. So it cannot be a case whereby young men are called terrorists and young men are in jail because they tried to fight for Adriana's justice to be had. And then you leave them in jail, say, bury Adriana. No, the father, Sir Brian, you owe these men a lot more than that. Because they put their safety, some of them have children who are now at home without a father because they wanted justice for Adriana. And you would not get me to anymore sit here to play into the PVP's intellectually lazy game to say that I have to always say I don't condone violence. To hell with you. You know me, and you know what I stand for. So I'm not going to play this game with you every time I come out to say, and please note, don't note anything. I'm saying to you. If you think I condone violence, then say it. Then think so. I don't care. I am way too intelligent to be reduced to having to repeat certain things to make you all feel comfortable. You know me, and you know what I stand for. I stand for justice and what is right. And you're not doing what is right. You have made political prisoners out of young men in this country. And you've called them terrorists. And all you want people to keep saying that I don't associate with scrapes. What's a scrape? You are discriminating. And you say because somebody looks a certain way, that's what they are. I am not going to reduce myself to keep repeating something for you to feel as though, oh, he has to keep saying this line all the time because, no. No. No more of that nonsense. If you want us to stand by what is just, then you do what is just. Justice governs all of us. Justice governs all of us, not some of us. What we're going to do is we are going to focus on what needs to be focused on. And that is, number one, Adriana, the unfortunate in Linden, Ronaldo Peters, the other young men and women who murdered across this country, you don't get anything, and even Shafiq from way back. Y'all should reopen the case. For the young mechanic, you should reopen that case now because a second thing has happened at the same pool. So reopen the case, revisit the case, compare scenarios. How did this happen before? And why is this happening again? Do that. It shouldn't be a case in which there is justice for those who lost some sugar and some flour in a store, or some items in a store or a hardware store, but there's no justice for one who lost her life. So it's justice for one to cover up for the other. Guyanese, brothers and sisters, enemies and friends, why did Irfaan Ali lie? Think. The Henry boys as well, thank you. Justice for all of them. Their friend who was killed, justice for all of them. Justice. Serve us justice, and we'll be at peace. I thank you, and I trust that you do well. So Brian Young, your daughter depends on you. Your daughter needs you. Adriana, in reference to the history that she represents in this country, needs a man like you. Do not crumble. Do not buckle. Do not give in to any pressure whatsoever. You can never become so frustrated that you fall into the arm of injustice and your child is left without justice. It should not happen. Do well. Until I see you all again.